Hey viewers, it's Retro Junkie here, going over the no longer initial, but midway review of the Sonic Mania title for the PlayStation 4. And for those that have subscribed to the channel, or for those that have seen the previous video, this is going to go into a little bit more detail. First video was just an initial playthrough. There's no commentary, no anything involved. By the way, excuse my voice, or excuse if you hear some coughing, because I'm a little sick. So, the premise of Sonic Mania was, in my opinion, to kind of take it back to where the golden age of Sonic and the golden age of Sega used to be. Going back to that specific game style, storytelling style, and art style as far as the pixel graphics are concerned. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel like they did with Sonic Generations or with any of the other previous Sonic titles where they went to the 2D side-scrolling. I think that was a positive move on Sega's part, as well as getting in some producers and production companies that have made previous Sonic titles in the past. One of the things I love about this game is it really does almost capture the essence of what Sonic was back then, all the way down to the introductory video that you're watching now. It's very light, it's airy, it's very animated, it's kind of a happy-go-lucky sort of thing, a lot like with the initial sequence, which if I remember correctly, I believe they introduced it on the Sonic CD. So we're gonna get a little bit into the gameplay elements here, and we will go through all the different things that they incorporated from the different titles. So I'm not completely through with the game yet. I'm still progressing through. So far it's been pretty long for a Sonic game. You have different game modes, as you would expect. Mania mode being the main story mode. Time Attack, which is a cool little feature they brought back from Sonic 2. Kind of has that same format as well. Competition, again, originally introduced in Sonic 2. I don't think any of the other Sega titles had it after that. This one, however, taking advantage of modern day technology, introduced online gameplay where you can compare and contrast or do a live playthrough, whichever else. Options, which allow you to control sounds, some simple sound settings. No BGM library as of yet that I've unlocked, but I'm still in the process of doing that. And you can go through and kind of change some of the filters and everything. If you look at the first video that I made with Sonic Mania, you'll see all the different menu options, and of course there's extras. And no, I haven't unlocked any extras yet, in the process of doing so. So I'm gonna go to Mania mode, and they incorporated the different save file system similar to what they had in Sonic 3. Also similar to Sonic 3 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you can pick your character, or you could select no save if you just want to pick it up and play it through really quick. Excuse me. So here, I'm at the chemical plant, or I'm sorry, Oil Ocean. And Oil Ocean is an original stage from Sonic 2. So far from what I can tell is there's some sort of dimensional swap, and I was at the second stage, but it looks like it put me back to the first one. So far from what I can tell is there's some weird dimensional swap thing going on as far as Sonic and traversing the world is concerned. And I just lost a bunch of rings. And with this dimensional swap, you kind of alternate between Sonic 2 stages, Sonic 3 stages, Sonic 1 stages, and finally, last but not least, Sonic Mania specific stages / worlds. Now, with these newer stages, especially with Oil Ocean, they did keep a lot of the original design and concepts and flow, but they did do quite a few modifications too. Looks like they kept a lot of the same textures, a lot of the same overall flow of the map, but very different, very more larger scale, rather. Now, you guys will remember these as the special stages from Sonic 3, and these have increased in difficulty, I feel like. They're taking advantage of the processing power available with the PS4. Obviously, not much is required, and I thought those were going to turn into coins. Not much is required to run this, but because of the limitations of the Sega Genesis versus this, they've made those a lot larger. And that is an overall theme that applies to a lot of the worlds in the Sonic games, even the redone ones like this one. A couple more mechanics. As you can see, I have the flame shield from Sonic 3. However, I'm able to light the oil on fire. I see no benefit to it yet, but it is a cool effect to add, just something different. Excuse me. Crap. 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 I'm just gonna go this way. Not doing too well this time around, fellas, I'm not gonna lie. Now, one of the interesting things about this game too is they changed a lot of the boss sequences. They kept it pretty classic, all things considered, but at the same time, they've introduced different mechanics that does increase the difficulty quite a bit. Bosses do different things now than what they used to. They're getting away from some of the patterns that some of the bosses do now. Or rather, that they used to do. It's no longer as predictable. I'm sure over time that, as you play the game more, that does change. And one thing I've got to say that has changed a lot with this title is the soundtrack. So far the theme I've noticed is the original BGM of what you're going through and playing is actually the original from the original game that orchestrated that MIDI sequence. However, when you get to the second part of the stage, or Zone 2, it's a remix version of it. And I've got to say, so far I've enjoyed the soundtrack and I've enjoyed the remixes. Not only is it one of those classic spins on everything, oops, don't tell me I missed one back there. Yep, I sure did. Oh well. They do remixes on the second world, as you'll probably see in this video here. And like I said, those remixes I'm enjoying quite a bit. I'm enjoying the whole soundtrack so far for this game overall, the boss sequences especially. Now this is kind of more of a mini boss in nature, I feel like. If you're not careful, those spikes will kill you. I've died at this boss last time I played through this stage. Because of those spikes, not knowing what to expect. Now this is part of Sonic 3, at least that's where they introduced it, where you can kind of jump with the sign. I think that's great. Chance to get some bonus points. And if you do this enough, they give you bonus boxes as well, where you can jump on it and get a shield or some coins or something at the beginning of the stage. I don't have that kind of patience today. So we're just going to go ahead and keep going through. Okay, so now I see the whole deal with the fire. If you don't have the fire shield, it hurts a lot. That's a different mechanic that was not in the previous game, so that's definitely something you have to get used to here. That's definitely something that was there. So you can kind of tell already where these worlds go and the different mechanics that they introduced into it. I know I mentioned a lot about different game mechanics and everything else. It's not anything to be technical per se, but there's just different mechanisms in the game that kind of help make it. They contribute to the overall gameplay, the flow, everything else. Now these can be a function of gravity in the game, the physics effects, those are all part of the mechanics. The control scheme, I mean, they're just different things that can affect gameplay overall. This will help later on, if I don't lose it by then. And so far for this stage, as far as I can tell, it becomes more difficult to see as time progresses. You need to get one of these, I guess, gas releases. Again, not something that they could have done with all the different, the pixel effects that creates and all the distortion that causes on the Genesis. So a welcome change and something different to do as far as Sonic Mania is concerned. And that's just Sega's intuitive way and of just keeping it different and keeping it fresh, keeping it familiar but unique at the same time. Not something that's, oh, I played this. This is just another HD rendition of a Sonic game. Big whoop. What's so great about it? And I like that they did that. Because for me, I mean, I'm the sucker for anything that's classic. I have a feeling if this gets any thicker, it's gonna kill me. But I'm a sucker for any classic. Any sort of HD remake that they create. Oh, yep, I'm losing coins by the second here. That's what this is. So in any case, I purchased a lot of these HD remakes and the re-remakes and the relaunchings and the anniversary editions of all of these different titles. Sonic, Mario, Earthworm Jim, I mean, tons of different ones, you name it, I probably have been a sucker for it and bought it. It's something I grew up with, it was of my generation, and it's just one of those things that I enjoy. I like going back and kind of replaying it. However, again, this is something new and different and exciting. It's not familiar per se. It looks familiar, it feels familiar, but it's not. And one of the things that's most exciting, I think, about this is the fact that while it's familiar, I can't explain it. It's just a feeling that you get with it while you're playing. This looks familiar from the original boss in Zone 2. This is different though. Not sure what this is. That's the same. That's a little different. That's different too. Looks like I was supposed to get on that platform all the way over there. This little platform is supposed to be just sort of a stepping stone. I just lost every coin, which was fantastic. And there you've witnessed my first death. So as far as the enemies or the baddies in this game, it's generally always Dr. Robotnik. However, in this title, he's kind of created a different robots that act as mini bosses slash regular bosses for parts of the world. They resemble very much, I think it was E102 or 132 from what's it called? From Sonic Adventure, which was different. I lost all my coins again. and I died again. E102, E103, I don't remember exactly, but it was from Sonic Adventure. I'd have to look that up to remember it exactly again. And they're kind of responsible for all these little dimension swaps that you're doing as well. Good to know I can attack these little wheel things too. Don't know how many hits this is going to take, but it'll happen. It might not happen now. Oh, I got a gold coin. Oh, so close that time. And I got a game over. So, normal sequence or game over, you start the game over again, you go back to your save place and you return. And now this goes back to the whole beginning of the sequence. So we're gonna go ahead and then we're actually gonna exit this part. I'm just gonna go through a little bit of the classical parts of this again. Mainly just starting over, no save. Just for you guys to get a look and feel for how the game starts, the different components, different soundtracks, and kind of, you know, how it worked out in the beginning that I fell in love with it. But this time with commentary. So one of the things that instantly got me, I was like, oh, okay, this is just like Sonic 3. This is how Sonic 3 started. Running through. This is different. And these are the robots again. If I'm not mistaken, they were also in Sonic 2 as well, this robot specifically. Can't remember what it was. And these are the little dimensional swaps that kind of occur. And if I remember properly too, they also did something like this in Sonic CD. Not exactly like it, but somewhat similar. And the iconic Green Hill Zone 1, or just Green Hill period. Now this is when I first started to realize, oh okay, this is just like kind of the first one. And the more you progress through this world, through this zone particularly, the more you realize this is not like the first one. They've incorporated a few things from Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 in this stage right out the gate, outside of the little bonus structures there that you see. The little lightning shields, those are all Sonic 3. They just kind of took the best of all of the different titles and brought them all together. This is not part of the original zone in this title at all. Kind of going through it. No water here, but you get a bubble. The whole run sequence that was from Sonic CD initially, where his hands are behind him. He didn't start doing that until Sonic CD. Oh my goodness. I swear I'm jumping. I swear. There. Wasted a whole factory. And some of the sprite animations, they're the same, but they're updated. They're a little smoother. They're different. That leads me to believe, ooh, I love these special stages. And they're quite fun. Took me a bit to get used to it, but these are bonus stages that came from Sonic CD as well. I mean, not particularly the whole grabbing the Chaos Emerald exactly. I mean, you did do that, but just as far as the mechanics of this part of the bonus sequence, how that works. The orbs increase your speed, coins increase time. Time's important. So you want to make sure to get those rings because you need more time to speed up to get the orbs, and you need more time to catch up to the damn Chaos Emerald as well. And if you look up at the top, there's a different gauge. The gold timer represents how many coins you have, but it's also a timer, so it does count down. And the blue orbs represent how much speed or momentum you're getting to achieve a different Mach speed of Sonic running through. Typically, I have to get to Mach 3, but if you're good at running and overall just racing games, although it's hard for Sonic kids, you will just eventually just get the Chaos Emerald anyway. At Mach 2. Mach 2 is a little bit more difficult, but it's possible. Mach 3 is where I usually get them from. I have not gotten all 8 Chaos Emeralds yet. I have not seen Supersonic in this game, so I'm not certain if it's a new Supersonic rendering for the sprite, or if it's something that they incorporated from Sonic 2 or Sonic 3. Personally, in my opinion, I enjoyed the Sonic 2 rendering of Supersonic the most. And I gotta be quick about it. There we go. And there's always a bonus sign. And you know, one thing I just realized just now is the backgrounds are a lot more put together. They're a lot better. And they change depending on where you are in the zone. I meant to mention that earlier and I was slightly distracted. And here's where you kind of start to hear a little bit of a remix version of Green Hill. Didn't know this was back here either. Good to know. And for those of you that are Sonic buffs, that is the extra life sound that was from the Sonic 3 game, not from Sonic 1. That was there on purpose. The AI for Tails is still terrible in this game, by the way. And this little thing, that was introduced in Sonic 2 as well. Great. You're gonna see a lot of the familiar baddies too. You'll see them in their own traditional worlds, but you'll also see them kind of mixed in other ones too. I've seen some Sonic 3 bad guys in some of the Sonic 1 or Sonic 2 stages earlier on, but for the most part they remain relatively consistent. Oh, and something I did love about this is, we'll get to it whenever this guy comes back. It's just like in Sonic 3. It kept it where you can fly with Tails, and where you can control it. Probably a bad time to do it, but whatever. It's never a bad time to fly with your pal Tails. Again, this is where it kind of got me, where I was like, oh man, this was the one of the last bosses, and one of the last mechanics from the last bosses from Sonic 2. He didn't do the whole little spiky arm thing stretching out. That's something new. That's something that they introduced in this title as part of a mechanic for it. Mainly just so you can jump on the arm and just go attack Robotnik. There we go. And that's it. So, for the most part, these are my parting thoughts for the video for today. And again, I just want to disclose, this is not a title I finished yet. This is a title I'm still in the process of trying to complete. But overall, I'm in love with the game. In my opinion, this title could be taken as an apology letter or a love letter to Sonic. Sonic, sorry for all the crap we put you through. Sorry for everything after Sonic Adventure 2. That was our last really good, decent shot of any sort of Sonic title. Everything else afterwards that was not a remake was completely our bad. We respect who you were. We respect who you are. We love you. And we're going to give that back. We're going to bring you back the way that you will always be remembered in everyone's hearts. As a little blue side-scrolling hedgehog going through all these different stages. We're going to make these stages familiar, but at the same time, we're going to make them unique, and we're going to make them different than what they were before. We're going to use different techniques we've learned for a little bit of a better soundtrack, and we're going to go ahead and use these different items to kind of go over and show you just, hey, you know, we missed you. This is a different kind of stage now where you can lose rings by hitting things. I've not done this one before, if I'm honest. I need more coins for sure. It's sketchy. Anyway, what I was saying was that they really took their time in this. F-Dash in my previous video did make a comment, and he hit the nail on the head with the comment. You could tell the amount of love that went into creating this title. A lot of different parties were involved, and they definitely enjoyed it. They had fun with it. And it wasn't just, hey, what can we get Sonic to do that was kind of like Mario. They kind of went back and didn't bother trying to copy what everyone else was doing. They went and did their own thing. And I feel like that's what made Sonic so unique in the first place, was that he never really did conform to what everyone else was doing. They kind of developed and did their own thing from the beginning, and that's what made it fantastic. So, with all that said, it's a great buy. I recommend it. Even at the limited edition price, which is what I got, with the die-cast gold coin and the Sonic and the Sega, which was pretty cool. Because you know, I'm a sucker for these things. It was worth the price. Replay value on this game is still undetermined. So far, from what I can tell, is that it is there. The potential for it's there, especially since they make it so that, I mean, I never knew this gold coin was there, and there's multiple of these in every stage. So where are they all? You know, it starts to become a challenge/mission to find them. So, you know, and you have the other classic Sonic bits. And I'm sure there's other Easter eggs in here too that I haven't found. You know, I'm looking forward to going through and trying to find all of those. And documenting it for you guys too. But I'm not just gonna do it and be greedy. That was foolish of me. That's that. But anyway, long story short, final synopsis for the second time. I love the game. I love the different mechanics they introduced to it. They kind of took the best from all the different Sonic games and melded it all together into one. The developers, they took their time, they went back to their roots, and they created something that was familiar yet different, which can be difficult to do because you can have a lot of angry people out there saying, hey, you ruined the classics by using the classics. I don't feel like they did that here. I feel like they did a fantastic job with it so far. The different mechanics that they introduced to it too. Again, part of a scenario with all the different games. They took the best of everything, they put it into one bang-up job. It's worth it. Again, it's worth the limited edition price, it's worth the standard edition price. If you're a fan of Sonic of any kind, even if you just loosely played it as a kid, it is recommended. You don't have to play the originals either to really appreciate what this title has to offer or what it does. You can play this completely independent without playing any of the old games, and it's its own story that can be appreciated for what it is. Last but not least is going to be the soundtrack. I went over everything. I went over the graphics. I went over how all that's the same, but it's different and it's great. But the soundtrack definitely makes the game a little bit more exciting. I love that, again, I played the original, so it's one of those things where I remember a lot of these songs, but I love that they remix them too. So you have a mix of both old and new. Anyway, guys, beyond that, that's it. This is my, and I keep dying here. This is my initial commentary, not initial playthrough, but initial commentary on Sonic Mania. And again, this was for the PS4. This was for the PS4. It came out for the PC and for the 360, I believe, as well. If you have any of the consoles, go pick them up. Go buy it. It is worth it, most definitely. This is the first time I see a continue sequence, to be honest. And if you have any feedback for my video, anything I may have missed, anything I didn't go over, any questions, comments, or concerns, please go ahead, send us a message or leave us a comment. We try to stay pretty active on it. And if you like what you saw, subscribe, share it, get the word out there. The more followers I get for this channel, I feel like the more motivated I'll be to continue to provide original content with original commentary. I don't go back and screen these. I don't look for what everyone else is doing. I just kind of have an idea and I roll with it. I do my own thing. Try to keep it fresh, try to keep it original. I know tons of people out there probably record their gameplays and talk about it and everything else, but I always try to kind of educate those that, not educate, but I always like to inform those that haven't seen these titles or don't know what a lot of these games are or don't know where they came from or what they represent, to have that information and kind of see how it developed and where the roots were and kind of where we get some of our new gameplay concepts today. So again, leave us a like, leave us a comment, subscribe, share. It's all greatly appreciated. Otherwise, this is it for Sonic Mania, and this is Retro Junkie out.